I'll start with an overview. We really have, it's been a monumental effort and over the last several weeks of changing how we operate entirely in a very short period of time. The office is now and has been closed to the public as of about 2 weeks ago. I guess it was last Monday. And we're trying to keep the number of staff that are present in the office at any given time to an absolute bare minimum. And what we're shooting for is that at any given time there's no more than 1 or 2 people in the office, and there may be times when there's no one in the office, and we're okay with that as well. There are certain business functions that require people to be in the office for, in particular, finance functions, some of the customer service functions. There's times when operations staff need to be in the office. Board meeting days are days when Rebecca Hitchcock needs to be in the office. So there are times when certain people are designated and scheduled to be in the office to conduct certain essential functions. But outside of that, we're really trying to keep it to the bare minimum. I'm reluctant to mention anyone by name because everybody has put in really monumental effort and done a fantastic job from the department heads on down. John Gomes is one person who is also in the office periodically. It's been a pretty heavy lift to get everybody equipped to be able to work remotely. We have had to purchase additional laptops and additional cell phones. We had employees that did not have district issued cell phones. We're tracking all of those expenses, and we're hoping that we will be able to be reimbursed for those expenses under the disaster declarations. But John is also another person who is in the office from time to time, getting people properly equipped so that they can work from home. We have customer service representatives that are now equipped to respond to customer calls from home, and then most of our finance functions as well. The operations, as far as the operations department goes, obviously the district operations are essential for our communities. So our treatment plant operators, distribution and collection crews, mechanics, electricians, everybody has to continue to keep our equipment functioning and maintain clean water delivery and wastewater service. But we are modifying how we operate to keep people isolated to the extent possible. So operators are, one person in the truck at any given time. We're scheduling when they're in the at the facilities and trying to keep it to one at a time. They've done Damon and his staff have done just a fantastic job of having to change how we operate to try to keep people isolated, but also, keep the district operating as normal and keep our staff operating in a way that doesn't put them at additional risk. There's a lot more to that, but I think that's the overview as far as operations goes. Our biggest concern of exposure on the operations front is that we know that COVID-19 is present in wastewater streams in communities where the infection exists. What we're hearing, though, from the CDC, EPA, the State Water Board, all of the experts are saying that the normal protection measures and the normal PPE that our operators are used to utilizing should be adequate to protect them from COVID-19 as well. So We are asking operators to take additional precautions, and all of our staff take additional precautions as far as hand washing, sanitizing everything that needs to be sanitized, and things along those lines, personal hygiene and sanitation practices. But we're not at this time requiring any additional PPE or new protocols for operators. And that's consistent with the guidelines that we're hearing from the experts, the public health experts and the water board. But we will continue to monitor that. One of the things that I think we've all learned over the last couple of weeks is what we know today may not be true tomorrow. So we're going to continue to keep a close eye on that. And if at any point we learn that there is additional risk to operators, we'll take whatever steps necessary to make sure that they are protected and we have the proper PPE in place should that guidance change. But for now, the guidance is stick to the same established procedures and protocols that our operators are already trained in. The other sort of difficult issue here that we're working through, and we may bring back to the board. Actually, before I get to the next item, I'm talking a lot here. So, are there any questions so far?
I had one question. Since we don't have any public coming into the office, what has been the volume? Have you seen an increase in the volume of telephone calls from our customers?
That's a great question. And Joel or Rebecca Callan, if you're on, are you able to provide a response to that?
Can you repeat the question?
Are we experiencing a higher call volume from customers?
No, we are not experiencing a higher than normal call volume. We certainly do have many customers who've called in concerned about various things, including the safety of the water supply. But generally, people are most concerned about their payments and ability to make those payments. Otherwise, generally they feel confident about the water supply, and they appreciate that CCWD is taking measures to protect our staff and the public water supply.
I just have one question. Do we have an outside drop-off box for bills?
Yes, we do have it at our front door.
Okay. I talked to Michael a little bit the other day about that. I just want to make sure that we're alerting the public of all the different options. I mean, obviously the preferred option is to go online and do that, but there are still people that may be set in their ways and will venture out and drop their bill off. I want to make sure that they realize they have that ability to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that last week some information was put out about those options. We also included a special message on every bill that went out earlier this week talking about those options. And if Michael feels it's appropriate, we could even do additional outreach about those options if necessary.
But it's my opinion that we should do some additional outreach, every few days, just to let people know what their options are.
Yeah, we'll do that. We are encouraging for the public that is on the call, and then in our interactions, board and staff with public, we really are encouraging members of the public to make their payments online if they're not already doing that. It makes it a lot easier for staff, especially in this time when we're trying to minimize our time in the office and the handling of payments. It really would be helpful for the district if people could utilize the online option. It's free, and it's the most efficient way to process payments. But I understand some people do not want to do that, so mail in is still an option, and we do have the drop box at the district, and we'll make sure people are aware of all of those options.
Well, I'm appreciative of the fact that the public is very conscious of how we're trying to take care of them, and a thank you to the public during these critical times.
Yeah, the support is really appreciated. Okay, so the next item that is tricky for us to work through, and we're still working through it, is how this is going to affect some of our HR policies, and we'll be probably bringing an item back to the board in the near future with respect to the new FMLA provisions that the federal government has just adopted. We're going to meet with the union and make sure that the procedures that we have in place or that we're developing are adequate to meet the needs of our staff. Obviously, everybody's kids are home from school. People may have family members with health needs that they need to attend to, and that's going to continue to evolve if the situation worsens as it's expected to. So we want to make sure that our HR policies are adequate to accommodate the changing situation. We don't have anything before the board today, but we're working very hard on that front, and I would anticipate something coming back to the board on that front in the future. We're also, at this point, at least on the staff level, we have decided not to bring an emergency declaration to the board. The main benefit of doing that at this point would be if we needed to change or relax any of our own policies to give staff the flexibility to respond to the crisis. And what some agencies are doing is adopting emergency declarations that put purchasing policies and spending limits on hold for actions that are necessary to respond to the situation. And so far we haven't identified or anything in the immediate future that we foresee needing that for, but we're going to continue to keep a close eye on that and bring that back to the board if we think it's necessary. The county, the state, and the federal government have all adopted. This is a disaster, and so we are tracking all costs that are related to the disaster response. But the district doesn't need to adopt a disaster declaration for reimbursement purposes. It would only be if we needed to make temporary changes to our own business practices or policies. So we'll keep an eye on that. The last thing I think on back to operations briefly, the wastewater operations are among the, I think it was 16 or 17 critical infrastructure sectors that were identified by the federal and state governments. So our employees, to the extent they're carrying out district activities, are exempt from the order to stay home, the governor's order to stay home. And to make sure that we are giving our employees, that they have the access that they need, we're making sure everybody has updated employee ID badges, and we've provided them with a letter that explains the essential nature of their work and the exception that applies to critical essential functions like water and wastewater, so that we don't have any problems with our employees being able to move around and conduct their work activities. I think that's about it as far as the update goes, but open to any questions.
Does it take any action from the board regarding the late fees?
Yeah, so that would be the next ask of the board. At this point, we did include there's a staff report and a resolution in the supplemental agenda packet that Rebecca is showing on the screen right now. And the request is that we waive, and the recommendation from staff is that we don't want to do any lock-offs while this stay home order is in place from the governor. And we also, just in response to the economic impact on our communities, we thought it was appropriate to waive late fees and penalties during this time, and we have included a recommendation to waive those penalties and suspend any lockoff due to late payment until June 1st. We'll continue to evaluate. Hopefully by then we're back to some sort of normalcy, whatever the new normal is going to be, and we're able to resume normal operations. But if it needs to be extended beyond that, we can bring it back to the board again. But the sense that I got in talking to individual board members and other agencies that are also, most other agencies that I've talked to are all doing this, is that it's the appropriate thing to do at this time.
I'll move for acceptance.
I'll second that.
Rebecca, I think we need a roll call.
Well, we need to go public comment. That's the room.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Public comment.
No public comment? Rebecca, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Director Thomas?
Yes.
Director Retterman?
Yes.
Director Cicada?
Yes.
Director Davidson?
Yes.
And President Underhill?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're working on a press release to get that information out, as well as some other updates to the public. And Director Davidson, your point is well taken, that we need to be communicating frequently with the public as this goes forward. And I have been in touch with all of the other Calaveras County water agencies, with our neighboring agencies, and with agencies in other areas. Every agency that I have talked to so far is doing something along those same lines. And it's been helpful to share information with all of those other agencies. I think that is a sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's good.
Michael, I have a couple of follow-up questions.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The last time that we had unusual circumstances, that causes a big disruption was during the PSPS outages, and you were very timely on reporting to the board extraordinary expenses associated with that disruption in activities and change in our operations. I'm assuming that we mentioned earlier that you had districts had to buy additional laptops and cell phones and things. You will be presenting a list for us to quantify what additional expenses are associated with the things that you're having to do.
Absolutely. We're tracking all of those costs. So far, the costs outside of some additional technology that we needed to provide to our staff, we stocked up on hand sanitizers and personal protective equipment, things along those lines. So far, the costs have been pretty minimal. That could change going forward, but absolutely, we're going to track all of those costs. We'll provide an update to the board, and we'll seek reimbursement to the extent that's available.
Okay. The other thing that kind of popped into my mind about this when we talk about when we get back to anticipated near normal conditions in May or June, how are you going to continue your interactions and to meet and confer with the unions? Will all those negotiations have to be done in the same manner that we're doing today?
Yeah, until there has been some delay on that front, but until the governor has lifted the stay-home order, I would expect all of the negotiations to move forward, but to move forward in this similar format. It's obviously not an ideal way to meet and negotiate on any number of levels, but it's we're going to have to work through that. So we're actually anticipating in the near future a meet and confer, not a bargaining session, just a check-in with the union, but we'll be doing it via teleconference. So the overall goal from staff's perspective is, we need to keep as many things as we can that we were working on. Everything needs to continue to move forward. The district of the business the business of the district, has to continue to move forward. And even though we're working remotely and having to adapt on the fly, we can't put everything on hold because of this.
Okay, well, that answers my questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from the board? Okay, we can go to item 4B. Presentation discussion of Calaveras County Water District's fiscal year 5-year capital improvement project. Mr. Charles Palmer.
Hello, board members and President Underhill. Good afternoon. I think the memo summarizes what's going on pretty well. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, great. And so I think basically at this point I'm just trying to get the 5-year CIP program circulated to the board members so you can it's just only a discussion item today, and I kind of gave a summary of some of the highlights of the CIP in the agenda item, which I can review again. Basically, there's three tables. The first table is just the first two tables of the water CIP. Maybe Rebecca, you can forward that slide. So currently we have the Reach 1 project up on Ebbets Pass and the Tech-Eye Pipeline project, which we just recently got bids in and will be before the board in the next agenda item after this one. And, we've been working hard with Cal OES on this Redwood Tank hazard mitigation project up in Ebbets Pass that will replace several of the redwood tanks up in the Ebbets Pass area that are vulnerable to wildfire. And I think the really kind of the bigger couple of highlights also are we're trying to move a little more aggressively on this AB transmission pipeline down in the Genuine water system. And then on the next slide, we also are pursuing at the bottom, we're pursuing this radio read AMR, AMI infrastructure project through USDA or other alternative funding sources, yet to be determined. And then on the last slide is the wastewater project, and we have the West Point Wilsonville grant, of course, was recently obtained, so we'll be moving forward with the design phase on that. And also finishing up the design on the lift station 6-8, 1518, and Force Main project out in Copper Cove, and putting that out for bid for construction. And then other than that, we have O&M has requested some funding of some projects that smaller projects that they need to address in our infrastructure in various areas of our service areas. And then lastly, we'll be undertaking some design efforts for the Arnold sewer plant, and then also trying to advance the design on the Copper Cove wastewater treatment plant. So anyway, today I just kind of wanted to keep this really simple, take any questions, get the CIP circulated to the board, and I can take questions today, or feel free to, through Michael and myself, send us any follow-up questions you may have. And that's pretty much my presentation on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but don't go far.
Melissa, you really want to do a public comment on that last one?
Oh, excuse me, I keep forgetting you have public. Sorry, public. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll go on to 4C. And this is the best project in the entire of its class. This is for the replacement of the Techite pipeline.
So, yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sure we can get a couple more years out of that pipe. I don't know.
Put you in charge of the crew, Jeff.
Yeah, I think this, so yeah, this is for award of a construction contract for replacement of the Ebbets Pass Techite pipeline project that's up in Big Trees Village mostly on Nico Drive. And this pipeline has been very problematic ever since it was installed, and I'm sure everybody, I'm sure our distribution crews will love to see this project get completed. This line has been breaking about at least twice a year or more. Puts customers out of service up there. So this is a really great project to be able to move forward on. So yeah, so we did put this out for bid before, and so this is the second time we bid it. We did get a little bit. We revised the plan. The reason we did that is because we felt, based on feedback from some of the bidders and contractors, that we could simplify the design, and so we did that, put it out for bid again, and so we did receive 6 bids, with KW Emerson being the low bidder, and we do recommend proceeding with a contract with KW Emerson, pending board approval.
I'd like to move for a separate question for Emerson, awarding the construction contract to that pipeline.
I'll second that if you need a second.
I would just like Charles to tell you how much money we are saving from the original bids that have been coming in, because they were well over the price that Emerson put in.
Yeah, the last bid was about $2.3 million, so now it's at 1.9. And, not to mention, that's just the construction cost, not to mention all the savings to our construction crews and damages to the road up there that have to be repaired. So, we'll be saving on, not only the construction costs, but, just overall on our operations expenses too.
Okay, Carl, didn't we also pay a claim to adjacent homeowner on?
Yeah, these line breaks are pretty significant. So, I think Joel does a great job working with these owners. So, Joel, did you have any comments on that? Are you online still?
Yes, I'm still here. I actually just got a call from one of the owners who got their property washed out today, and he said, I just don't want to do these repairs until I know that CCWD is going to replace this pipe. So I'm really eager to share the good news with him that we're moving forward with this. It is an ongoing issue, and so many people have had damage to their homes and their property from this pipe. the road washes out, then we have to do frequent boil water notices that affect well over 100 people up there. So this is one that we're all very excited and eager to see move forward.
And Bertha, doesn't this line serve your property?
For some reason, I'm not affected by the line. It's maybe 200 feet or 300 feet above my property line. I don't know how that happened.
My parents have a property on Blackfoot Circle, and they're affected every time this happens. They get notices on their door.
About boiling the water, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is good to see. I'm glad to see us moving forward. Charles, I have another question similar to what Bertha, I know you gave us one. I know this has come before us before, and all these the bids were much higher. Could you go over the other costs? You did talk about the 2.3 million moving to 1.9. What were the other bids that came in at that time? And then briefly, if you would cover what are the changes to the design that resulted in the lower bid?
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me as to what the prior bids were. I think they went all the way from 2.3 up to over 3 million. Yeah, so a lot of the problem up there is that there is shallow rock, granite outcropping, solid. So it's underlain by a lot of solid rock. That was part of the original problem with the Techite installation, is that they had trouble doing the excavation to properly install that pipe from the very beginning. So there's like fractured rock and the pipe, sometimes the existing pipeline, the Techite line will break actually at locations where the existing rock will damage it, because of pipeline movement or something. So largely it was having to deal with the fact that there's a lot of rock in the area, and the prior plan was to basically build an above ground parallel pipeline and then put that above ground pipeline into service to temporarily serve all the customers, and then excavate the existing Techite line, remove it, and then put the new pipeline back into the same trench. So we did have a very good geotechnical soil study that, along the alignment of this pipeline. And so in some cases we were able to determine that the rock, the depth of the rock was sufficiently low that we could construct a parallel trench, dig a new trench next to the existing pipeline, install it, and then abandon the existing line. That being said, that's not true over the entire alignment. In some areas we still have to do, because the rock is so shallow, that we have to do instead of trying to blast out and excavate rock, we're building some bypass sections so that we can go ahead and remove the existing Techite line and reutilize the same trench that's basically cut into the bedrock. So that's kind of what a lot of the complication was just the depth of the bedrock, and then also just this Techite material is just extremely fragile material and very difficult from a construction standpoint to excavate it and cut valves into it, to cut into it and make temporary bypasses. And so a lot of it's just trying to avoid having to excavate and work on that existing Techite line, and just trying to leave it in place as much as possible until the new line is in service. So there's some definite issues there that have to be worked around. So.
Okay, now thank you. One last thing is to see if this is able to go to a San Andreas mutual contract.
Yeah, it's great to have a local contractor working on one of our projects, so we always like to see that.
Chairman, I have a question for you, too. In this summary of the three lowest bidders where they spread their line items, the last item, number 025, is listed as an allowance for breaking solid rock. So each of those contractors put in $15,000. Am I to understand that since this is an allowance, if they spend more than $15,000, they can submit an ad order for that?
That would be correct. But we attempted to avoid the rock as much as possible, but we just thought that there's if you don't put in some kind of a rock allowance, and then each of the bidders is going to make kind of their own assumptions. So after discussing this with some of the bidders, we formulated a way where we could kind of create an even playing field for everyone. And so we don't expect we don't want to get into a situation where we're basically it's all rock excavation. So, but we tried to avoid that as much as we could through the engineering of the alignment. But we just anticipate there's going to be some areas where service lines or something that we're going to run into a little bit of rock that is going to have to be broken through. So we thought the best way was to put in an allowance and then define you don't see it here, but there's a description for that item number 25 that explains in detail what is covered by that line item. It includes a hydraulic excavator. It includes a hydraulic jackhammer, basically that attaches to a breaker that attaches to the end of the excavator, and then it includes one operator, one laborer, and one truck. So at least those parameters are a little more closely defined versus just leaving it open-ended and having the contractor just start making a lot of claims for more equipment on site that's not being put to use and other kind of claims. So we tried to contain that a little bit by putting in that item.
There are no technical considerations here. We're not going to have to deal with the
That is not entirely true. We are claiming it is an exempt project, but as part of that exemption, there is one area that cuts across country that's not outside of pavement that we would do need to, and it's close to our Big Trees 4 or 5 tank site where we're currently working with Cal OES to obtain a grant, and we're already having to work with the tribe on that other project. So and Cal OES, if you are working in the vicinity of one of their projects, they do like you to notify them that you're doing something in the area. So we'll probably have to communicate with Cal OES that we're doing this project, and as part of that, I don't think it's a big effort, and I don't think it's going to be all-encompassing throughout the whole project, but there's just that one cross-country area that it would be prudent to at least consult with the tribe and make sure we're on the same page with them.
Okay.
I have just a couple of items. This particular pipe has been around, I believe it's been around for something like 30 years, and for the entire 30 years, it's been nothing but problems. We initially put it in, and clear thinking didn't go into the project, and so as a result, as I say, it's been nothing but problems. I do want to commend customer services because I just know what our customer base does to them whenever we have a break in MECO, and it happens, as someone mentioned, at least twice a year, and sometimes even more than that, that they've been putting up with this for over 30 years. So congratulations, and That's it for me. Okay?
So are we gonna vote, or did we vote?
To award we did vote on it already.
No, we have a motion and a second.
I don't think so.
Yes, we did.
You need public comment.
Yeah, public comment is what we, yeah, you seconded, Jeff.
Right, no, but I don't think we voted yet.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, public comment? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Okay, Director Thomas? Sorry, you were on mute, Director Thomas?
I vote yes.
Okay, Director Radigan?
Yes.
Director Cicada? That was a yes. Okay. Director Davidson?
Yes.
And President Underhill?
Yes. You must vote.
Okay, thank you, board, members of the board, appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles. Okay, item 4D, discussion direction regarding an update of the district operational assistance policy. Michael Minker.
Thank you, President Underhill. So this is an update of a policy that was adopted and amended back in 2011. I took a look at it again recently after getting multiple inquiries. We haven't had any requests for mutual assistance yet, but we've received calls from other agencies and talking about how we are responding, how we're preparing and staffing the emergency response, and what if we're able to provide assistance to other agencies, how that would be done. And in looking at the policy, we realized there's probably some limitations in there that don't need to be there that would limit staff's flexibility in responding to mutual assistance requests. So this item amends the policy and gives staff some more flexibility, but also retains the protections that would keep the district's interests, protected, and the discretion as to whether or not we can provide mutual assistance or not. That stays with the district, and that's consistent with the conversations that we've had with other agencies that. Depending on our status, our availability to respond, our first priority has to be our customers and the safety of our staff. But should we have additional capacity to respond to a mutual aid request, we would do that. And so the policy provides guidance to staff on how the parameters of how we can do that. It requires a contract to be in place, but it was a bit vague as to what that contract would be. So we went ahead and have to acknowledge Matt Weber for his help with the policy, proposed policy revisions and drafting of the contract. We thought it would be helpful for the board to have templates of the contract to be able to approve those, and that's what staff would utilize if we were to agree to any of these requests for assistance. And then based on that guidance from the board and the policy and in those the form contracts, the district staff would be able to move forward without board approval in the response to mutual assistance requests. So those are the main changes. The other change was a limitation on in-county responses, and I think that would, depending on the circumstances, that would probably be our first priority. But we've also had conversations with agencies in neighboring counties, both as far back as PSPS and probably before that even. But during the PSPS response and recently with the COVID-19 response, if Amador, for example, or TUV had a mutual assistance request and we had the ability to provide assistance, we would probably want the flexibility to do that, and the existing policy would prevent us from doing that. So we wanted to make that change as well. So that's an overview of the changes that we're asking for the board to approve, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board has.
Any questions from the board?
Not for me.
I just have a comment. I think this is a great idea. And being more open and available and to assisting where we can and opening up this policy and to be eager to do it is fantastic. And then staff and Michael, good job.
I agree with that. Good job.
And we'll get this out. I've already talked to a few neighboring agencies about this, and we'll make sure they're aware of it so that they know in advance there's a process that we have to work through. And so we're able to hopefully hopefully these requests never come in, but in the event that they do, that we've already had this conversation with other agencies so we can work through it pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, Michael. When have we had a request? Or
in my time, we have not actually had a mutual aid request come in, but we have had multiple conversations with agencies about it, both, like I said, in response to the PSPS events and in response to this event. And the main concern in response to the COVID-19 disaster is if there's staff shortages. For example, a smaller agency that may only have 5 or 6 operators, if half of them are out with severe illness, their ability to continue to operate may be significantly reduced. And so, to the extent the district has if our staff are affected, obviously we may have limitations on our ability to respond. But to the extent we have the bandwidth to provide that assistance, we would want to be available to do that.
And to further answer that question, we in camera with the 6 members between Amador and Calaveras County and the water districts, there was a lot of talk about this in regards to PSPS, and nothing was ever came of it, but it was obviously that there was a need. There might be a need, and we wanted to be able to respond. Everyone was positive on the idea.
Well, that's good. Any other board discussion? Public comment? Hearing none. Okay, the direction is that the board is positive towards lending assistance. Does that require a resolution?
I'll move for second.
Second.
Any public comment? Seeing none, call the roll.
Okay, Director Thomas?
Yes.
Director Rudderman?
Yes.
Director Cicada?
Yes.
Director Davidson?
Yes.
President Underhill?
Yes. Okay. Item number 5, reports, general manager.
Okay, thank you for that approval. We'll get that out to our other agencies and have that conversation. So I'm going to run through a couple of quick updates here. The first is I'm very pleased to announce that we have a capacity fee update contract in place now. We did an RFP process, got several good responses from different consulting firms, and we selected HDR to update capacity fees for La Contenta wastewater, Jennyland water, copper water, and copper wastewater. Those will be the 4 that are moving forward this year. and then we will probably circle back and do the other service areas, next year. The proposal came in, under budget, and, so we're very qualified firm. This is, the same firm that the district worked with on a rate and, study a couple of years ago. Good work to Charles and the engineering staff on, getting that RFP out and getting the contract in place, and we'll keep the board updated as that moves forward. We hope to have it.
I have a question.
The contract, calls for completion by September, if I remember correctly.
I have a question regarding that, Michael. It seems like a while back, the engineering committee requested that we, have a discussion about the method that these were going to be calculated, what items were going to be included in this. Did I miss something, or have we done that, or is that going to come as part of this?
No, I mean, we've talked about the capacity issues, at the engineering committee, but we did specifically include the recommendation from the engineering committee, was to make sure that we incorporate the 8604 issues in the, capacity fee update, and that was specifically called out in the RFP. So the consultant will be prepared to, take a very comprehensive look at the capacity fee issues down there. But we'd be happy to bring the full, proposal and contract back to the engineering committee, and if we need to make any changes, we can have that discussion.
I would appreciate that, just so we can take a look at it.
Absolutely.
I'd hate to see it, come to a conclusion and then have us unravel it.
We'll get that in front of you as soon as possible, so we take a look at it early in the process.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I
sorry, go ahead.
No, I would just like to add the fact that I'm pleased to hear about HDR. They've worked with CCWD for many, many years, and the quality of their work is exceptional, and so I'm just happy that they're the winners of the bid. That's it.
Okay. Continuing on the theme of RFPs, we did get responses for our strategic plan RFP. We decided not to bring that, move that forward. We kind of put that on hold as part of the prioritization of work under this the COVID-19 response. But I just wanted to give the board the update that we do have some good proposals. I think we'll find something that we're really happy with, and we'll bring the board an update on that. Sorry, was there a question on that? Quick update on REMAT legislation. I think I informed the board a few weeks ago that there was a legislative proposal that was put forward that would not be helpful on the REMAT front, and I'm glad that we've received a response. The REMAT coalition that we're a part of very actively voiced opposition to that legislation, and it looks like we're able to convince Senator Hertzberg to withdraw that legislation. We're still hoping to persuade the PUC to reopen that program as quickly as possible, and hopefully our New Hogan powerhouse will be able to take advantage of that. A quick update on several months ago, we did the MOU labor share agreement with Utica, and I just wanted to update the board on the fact that we provided labor to Utica several months ago during their outage, and we have been working with their staff and getting them to work with our crew, and essentially the reimbursement for that effort is moving forward. Another quick update, we're in the process of purchasing a fuel truck, which is may come as a bit of a surprise, but the need for it was very evident during the last PSPS response. We were not planning on, going out and buying a hoop truck or anything along those lines. But one became available to us at a very low price from a local, company. And so we took advantage of it. And it's going to be a good addition, help us with our PSPS response, but also just power outages in general. We've expanded our fuel storage capacity for our standby generators that are spread throughout the district. This will give us additional fuel storage capacity and ability to refuel. We spent a significant amount of money on hiring contractors to truck fuel into our different fuel delivery fuel storage facilities. So this will the truck is only costing us $5,000, and it will save us more than that in the near term.
Michael,
Yes.
is that only going to be for storage, or are you going to use it to deliver fuel? And if you are, or do we have drivers that are all certified in transporting fuel?
Great question. We have lots of Class A drivers. We're working on getting more of them certified for hazmat. And our plan is that we will utilize it to deliver. It will be a low use in-county only vehicle under CARB restrictions. So we'll have limits on the amount that we can use it. But even if we were only using it as a fuel storage, it would still be a cost-effective purchase at this point. So that's why we went ahead to move forward with the purchase. But we do plan on using it, and we'll make sure that our drivers are properly licensed for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What year was the truck?
I believe it is a 1989. Is that correct, Damon?
Can everybody hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an 86.
86.
Yeah.
All right. One piece of bad news. I think at our last board meeting, I announced a fantastic hire to replace Peter. Unfortunately, he has withdrawn and is decided not to leave his current position. So that's a big setback for us. We'll continue to a recruiting effort to try to replace Peter, but that's going to take some additional time.
That's good.
No, that was no good. Sorry, was there a question there? Okay. We have a couple of construction projects that are still moving forward, but we have told our contractors that we're not allowing any shut off of customer water unless it's for an emergency repair. So we've placed some limitations on contractors that may lead to, or I should say will lead to delays in certain projects, especially the service line replacement project down in Jenny Lind. And then also Reach One, we're to the extent those contractors can continue to move forward under the restrictions that we have, they're doing so, but there may be some delays in those projects. And then I think that's about it as far as GM reports go, unless there's any questions for me.
Would you anticipate a large delay because of our water restriction? Michael?
Reach One, probably not a huge delay. Charles, are you still here?
Nope.
Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate a huge delay on Reach One, but there are parts of that project that require shutting off customers that we've told the contractor to do the other work first. Right now, the weather is what's holding them up.
Right.
So they're on hold right now, anyways, and they have some other tree work and other work that they can do to continue moving forward. But that may cause some additional delay there.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay.
The only other thing is I did have one other item. Next month is one of those unusual months where Wednesday, the first of the month is a Wednesday, which means we need to adapt our committee schedule. In light of but I think at this point maybe it's best that I'll just be in touch with the finance and engineering committees to talk about rescheduling. I had contemplated asking the board to go down to one board meeting next month just because of the additional work effort that is involved with the COVID-19 response. It's consuming a lot of staff time. But I think at this point, maybe it's best that we keep the current schedule, and I'll just be in touch with the board and those individual committees in the coming days if we need to reschedule anything.
Michael, you mentioned the engineering and finance committee, but not the legal affairs. We canceled a meeting last week that we need to get rescheduled as well.
Yeah, so my thought on that, on legal affairs in particular, both the House and the federal government and the state legislators, everything's on hold. But we should get a legal affairs committee scheduled, and I think as we've talked about possibly alternating engineering and legal affairs committee meetings, but I'll be in touch with those committee chairs to work on that schedule, and we'll get something on the calendar.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I apologize. I didn't mean to leave legal affairs out.
Okay, item number 6, we have board reports, information, future agenda items. Cindy, can we go with you?
I just want to let everyone know I attended the Aqua Legislative Symposium on March 12th. I really enjoyed it, actually. One of the panelists was the Deputy Director, Engineering Resources at City of Santa Rosa, and she talked about the 2 fires that came through their city and how they responded and lessons learned. And that was probably the most interesting one, I thought. But the other, I got to attend with Michael for outreach to I think it was Borges, right, Michael? And so that was a very nice meeting. I enjoyed that. At the IRWM, we did not have a meeting this month. They canceled it. However, we might do a JPA teleconference meeting like this. And with the rescheduling of the Aqua Spring Conference, which we're now calling the Summer Conference, I will be able to attend that in the July. That's about it.
Jeff?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Russ?
I want to hear Jeff report on Mexico.
I'll have to give you that. I'll have to call you on that. It was ridiculous how quiet it was. Probably 20% occupancy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, well, report, Jeff. I didn't have anything really as exciting as you were dealing with, but anyway, we're all living through interesting times here, and thanks everybody for all your efforts and willingness to roll with the punches here. Good stuff.
Scott?
Yeah, just a quick thanks for staff that's online, and Michael, and everything we're having to go through, and the big changes and working through this. I think this is a good meeting. Took a lot of effort to put it on and get the agendas together. This is weird, strange times, and I'm glad we're just getting through it. Good job. I have nothing to report on myself.
Okay. I would just like to report that we now have over 5 feet of snow in Ebbets Pass. You don't have to clap or anything.
How long is up there?
And this last storm that came through, the one where we got the 4 feet of snow, it was just, makes Ebbets Pass look like a war zone because of all the fallen trees. We had trees across Highway 4 that Caltrans couldn't even keep, not keep under control, but couldn't handle. They were having to stop the private citizens who were on the road to help them move the trees that had come across, and it was really very bad from what I understand. I didn't have to get down in there, but it's, so when you drive up here this summer, you're going to see a lot of, as I say, trees on the ground and branches. Okay. That's it for me.
Okay, next board meeting?
Wednesday, April 8th at 1 o'clock. And then April 22nd at 1 o'clock. And now, item number 8, closed session. 8A, Government Code Agency Negotiators. 8B, Conference with Legal Counsel. 8C, Conference with Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation. And 8D, Public Employee Performance Evaluation. So,
okay, so I think at this point we'll put the conference, this WebEx, on hold. And
Hold on. We have to ask.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to cut that off.
Public comment, please. Hearing none. Okay, will you help us with the logistics of this closed session, please, Michael?
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and put this conference just on hold for now. And we will adjourn to closed session, for a teleconference closed session, the instructions that we sent out to the board members. And then, we can reconvene from closed session in open session back in this same, WebEx meeting after the closed session is concluded.
I didn't, I'm sure I got them, but I don't know when they were sent, so I'll have to go look for, is there, when was that email sent that has special instructions for the closed session?
A couple hours ago, we sent a call-in number.
Okay, so it's just a different number, and we're not going to have the video conference?
No, it's just a regular, conference call.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
And how do we put this on hold?
I'll have
Rebecca Hitchcock will take care of that, and then, so we will go ahead and adjourn to a closed session and go ahead and call in on your phones to the teleconference.
But I want to make it clear that we will come back into this if there's any reportable action.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I'll be muting
Get it.
something on this.
Constantly looking for improvement, and I sense that Michael is also learning from past experiences that he's had at CCWD to help his growth, and so I'm very appreciative of that. And I thank you, Michael.
Thank you. I really appreciate those comments. Thank you.
And so, are we ready for a vote?
Are there any other board comments? Sounds like we are. So we have to go public comment.
Public, anything? Hearing none? Unless Rebecca heard some.
No. Matt,
No.
I do hate to ask you to
We
do
call
this.
the roll, please?
Okay, Matt, I need to ask a favor. I started the recording slightly late. Can you report out again on the changes?
You want me to restate the summary of what they're voting on?
Yes, please.
Sure. There would be an increase in salary effective 2/9/20 to 180,000 from the 164,800. The following year on the anniversary date, there would be a 3% salary increase. The following year, there would be a 3% salary increase. A fifth year would be added to the contract with a 3% salary increase. And each year prior to the increase, there would be an evaluation by the board of the general manager prior to the increase going into effect.
Just one clarification, that's 2/19 is the annual anniversary, I think, not 2/9.
Correct, sorry, 2/19/20, and then 2/19 every other year.
And further clarification, the contract would now currently go to 2024.
Correct.
Thank you. And we have a motion and a second.
Excuse me, I have another question or clarification that I need. And these increases are, we're going to do the evaluation, and upon a satisfactory evaluation, a 3% increase will be awarded, correct?
Correct.
We should have that. We should have maybe.
Well, no, hold on. No, that's not correct. It is not just because it's satisfactory, he has a satisfactory performance. The board can still choose to increase or decrease it. That's how I understand it.
Okay.
But if we choose to do nothing, then it will increase by 3%.
Okay. Well, I think that was important to have something to that effect in there. Yeah. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You want me to take roll?
Call the roll, please.
Okay. Director Thomas?
Yes.
Director Cicada? She's muted. Hold on. Director Cicada?
Yes.
Okay. Director Ratterman?
Yes.
Director Davidson?
Yes.
And President Underhill?
Yes.
All righty. Congratulations, Michael. You get to hang this up.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it, and really enjoy working with all of you, and I look forward to working with you at least until 2024.
Likewise. Thank you for your efforts.
Any other comments?
Everybody stay healthy.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.